Welcome to the Enhancement Talent Podcast.
Any man with two hands has a fighting chance.
You're only half the man that I am, and I have half the brain that you do.
What?
You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son.
What?
I'm not burning with you.
Give me a hell yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to the Enhancement Talent Podcast, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. We appreciate you stopping by. I am your host, Brock Fluker, and I'm joined here by a very unprofessional today, Chris Kirby.
I am not unprofessional.
Kirby is unprofessional because he did not make time to watch SmackDown, so we'll do the Raw review. I'm going to go solo on the SmackDown review towards the end. Thank you, Kirby.
I'm sorry I have a life and a job.
That's no excuse. I managed to watch it.
You have no life.
I have a job, but no life.
You were off yesterday. I wasn't.
So, we're going to get right into the Raw review. We started with the pleasant surprise that Renee Young was on commentary in place of Jonathan Coachman, because Coachman was doing something for some golf channel or something. As it's been noted, Coach does have 68 jobs or something that Corey Graves said he has. So, Renee on commentary, cool. Started off the show with the new trio of Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre. And Chris, last week we speculated that this wouldn't be a full heel turn for Braun, and that it was only going to be an alliance to help him against Roman, but he wouldn't fully turn heel. And we were proved wrong here, as Braun was a heel.
Well, he was a heel, but it's a temporary alliance. That's all it is. He needs numbers to help him.
See, that's the thing, though, is that right now he is all and out a heel, and he did the whole teat lines where he said that he doesn't care what any of the fans think, and I don't think they're just going to immediately turn him back babyface, do you?
Not immediately. It's going to run its course with going against the Shield.
All right, so we had Braun originally start off as a heel when he came to Raw. Then eventually he got so over he turned babyface. Now we are turning him heel just to help Roman get over.
Pretty much.
Which is the story of WWE in a nutshell, is that everything you see in the 5 hours of television every week, the thought behind it is this will help Roman get over.
Yes.
Even on SmackDown. It doesn't matter. Everything is to help Roman get over. Because right now we are building Braun Strowman up as a heel with this faction behind him just to get fed the reins at Hell in a Cell.
Unless the two factions come into play at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, but Braun's losing. Let's be real.
I don't know. Not very many people lose when they cash in their contract.
Braun's losing. I'm almost sure of it that they're not going to take the belt off Reigns. Like, probably not until WrestleMania. I don't think.
I don't know. They should take it from him and let him win it back at Survivor Series.
Seems like a little flip-flopping too much.
It's WWE. What else do they do?
Yeah, that's true, but
I mean, you've got two perfect teams, the Shield and Braun's team. Add one more person to each team, and you've got a Survivor Series match.
yeah, you could do that, and that'll be all well and fun. I don't think we needed to turn Braun Strowman heel to do all this. I think that the ultimate best way you could have done this was you have two guys that Braun has a history with that are currently doing nothing. You have Bray Wyatt, who is out of a partner because Matt Hardy is
Too old.
Yeah, you could say that. I think his pelvis and his spine are fusing or something.
Yeah.
Which sounds incredibly painful, but
I don't care. One more match.
One more match. Exactly. So you have Bray, who's got nothing to do right now, and then you have Luke Harper over on SmackDown, who also lost his partner Eric Rowan to a torn bicep, I believe it was. So Rowan will be out for a significant amount of time. So you'd have to find a way to be able to get Luke over to SmackDown, or I'm sorry, over to Raw, but that's not something they've had much issue with before. You can look at Kane to see that he started off on SmackDown when the brand split happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he came back, he just came back to Raw with no explanation to help The Miz, I think. And then after that, he went away and he came back to SmackDown with no explanation to be with Daniel Bryan.
Kane, man, he can do what he wants.
Yeah, so if Kane can get away with it, I think Luke Harper can. If you want, you can work in like a trade sort of thing, and that will at least give you some sort of story to it. But then you have those three, and you have the Shield, and you have an old classic feud from a few years ago with the Wyatt family and the Shield, where they had some incredible matches in some dark days for Raw. That it was pretty much the only thing to look forward to a lot of times. So if you do that, and you can have both teams just be neutral, you don't have to have the Wyatt family as heels. They can just be a neutral team and let the fans choose who they're going to cheer for. Because right now, when they turned Strowman heel, I feel like it's kind of putting a damper on the Shield in that they didn't get this. I didn't think they get the same reactions they normally did on this show or the last show when Braun turned on Reigns. There wasn't any boos towards him or anything like that. It was more just like confusion, and I think it would help to have Braun remain a babyface and just push forward with this that way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, so Shield eventually came out to confront the trio of Braun, Dolph, and Drew. And this led to a brawl, which would lead to all of the geeks backstage coming to attempt to break this up. And I put attempt in very loose quotations. They did not do a very good job at this because 30 people somehow could not hold back 3.
Oh, yeah.
But that aside, that's pro wrestling, I guess. That's the typical thing. I feel like these pull-apart brawls are getting kind of overdone. They've been doing a lot of them recently, and it doesn't really feel that important when it happens anymore.
No, it's just another Raw.
Yeah.
Although it was a good way to start.
Yeah. I mean, this was fun. It was fine. I didn't hate it. Then we get to the goofiness of this.
Oh, God.
Is when we come back from break, the brawl is continuing backstage, sort of, and everyone's being pulled apart. And then we get the police arresting the Shield.
Are they even real police, or are they just rent-a-cops? I didn't see any guns.
They are from the performance center, I'm sure.
Probably. With a rental van.
Even these cops did not look that threatening.
No, I mean, if you look, they were even laughing with the stars after the Shield was in the van.
Oh, yeah, I didn't notice
if
that.
You didn't catch that, there was one guy laughing with them.
I'll have to go back and try to find that.
He's on your left-hand side. In fact, I had to rewind it 3 times to make sure that's what I saw.
So Renee tried to bring logic to this, but it was a very illogical situation where I think she basically just said that, Braun and Drew and Dolph attacked them last week, but they didn't get arrested.
That's true.
And
they had people come from the locker room.
You can't really put logic into this situation.
No, it's WWE. There's no logic.
But, it's nothing terrible. I mean, if you look at the freaking Attitude Era, Steve Austin got arrested.
Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon. I mean, the list goes on and on.
I mean, the realm of possibility is not something I'm worried about in professional wrestling. I mean, one of my favorite segments is when Stone Cold comes into the hospital with Vince McMahon there.
The bedpan.
And he hits him in the head with a bedpan dressed up as a doctor.
Yes.
And I did not let the realm of possibility deflate my enjoyment of that.
Or you could go even a step further and go Stone Cold and I believe Booker T at the supermarket.
Yes. I mean, I suppose that could happen.
But I mean, come on, really?
Oh my god, that's still a classic.
Oh god, yes. I wish they do more stuff like that.
Just Steve Austin putting Booker T in a shopping cart, just strolling him around, pouring milk on him, cracking eggs open on him.
Oh, it was
flour.
I love the Attitude Era.
I can't imagine how much they spent on the cost to repair that grocery store after that.
Well, they probably just bought the store. It was probably going out of business.
Oh, but that was great. All right, so on to present day Raw, even though I think that segment was on SmackDown many years ago. But anyway, we have the return of the Bellas.
The Bellas are back.
And they are going against the Riot Squad. Ruby Riott did not participate in this match. We had Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan.
Which is surprising. With her being gone for an injury so long, I figured she'd want to get in the ring a little more.
Yeah, I think it might be that they're trying to protect Ruby. And
maybe still healing a little bit.
Well, by protect her, I mean that they knew that the Riot Squad were going to lose this match. So they didn't want to have Ruby involved in a loss.
The leader in there.
Yeah, so I can see that possibly being a reason. Surprisingly, do you know who I think was the best performer in this match?
Oh, what's the referee's name?
No. Liv Morgan, I thought was pretty good in this match.
I thought so.
And normally I'm not too big on Liv Morgan as a wrestler, but
normally there's no reason to.
Yeah, she started off, as soon as the match started, she did a "You Can't See Me" to Nikki Bella.
Yeah.
And there was a spot later where one of the Bellas went for a clothesline, and she did like a backwards sort of like handstand sort of thing to duck it.
Like what Becky Lynch does?
Sort of like what Bray Wyatt does with like the
the
crab crawl where she just bent backwards and put her hands down. That was nice. So other than that, there was not a lot to like about this match.
Yes, there was.
Okay.
There was one good thing to like about this match.
So
the announcement of season 8 of Total Divas.
Oh Lord. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. JoJo, when she is introducing the Bellas, goes on like a full spiel on, and they are in the hit series Total Bellas that will be back for season 8 on the E Network on whatever date it is.
Wednesday, September 18th. Sorry, I had to plug it.
All right. They're not paying us, Chris. We're not.
No, but I enjoy the show. It's free advertisement.
All right, so on to what made this match, and that is when Brie Bella puts the suicide in Suicide Dive.
She murdered that rope that first time.
So the first time, I'm not sure it was entirely her fault, because it looked like, from my perspective, that Logan was late to her spot, and that she was supposed to hit Brie while she was going through the ropes,
and that's why she stumbled.
And instead, Brie's legs just sort of got hung up on the middle rope, and then she just fell face first onto the apron.
It looks sad.
And then Sarah Logan hit her.
Yeah,
to make up for it.
She must be training with Jinder Mahal.
Oh, Lord. But the second one was no one but Brie Bella's fault.
No, she obviously does not need to be doing those.
No. And as soon as she started setting up for it, I was just like, we just saw what happened to you on this first one. Why would you try it again?
Yeah, it's one thing to botch a move, but it's another one to botch it twice in the same match.
Brie looks like she is running in slow motion.
Yeah.
And then she did not get nearly enough length, and
she barely cleared the apron.
Yeah, and not much else to say about that.
No, just why?
So Nikki got the pin in the ring at some point, and Corey was crediting these dives to ring rust, which I guess was a good cover.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I guess it could be partly ring rust.
Yeah.
Partly.
So after this, they announced that at the Super Show in Melbourne that it will be Ronda Rousey and the Bellas taking on the Riot Squad in a 6-woman tag.
Really, you're going to put the women's champion with, 1, the Bellas, and 2, a 6-person tag match?
So I'm sure what this is going to set up, I feel like at least, that Nikki Bella is going to turn on Ronda, and that's going to set up their match at Evolution.
Oh, Evolution?
That's the reported main event by Meltzer of The Observer, that it will be Nikki Bella versus Ronda Rousey for the women's title at Evolution. I feel like this is probably going to set that up. We'll get into their painfully awkward backstage segment later that is also building to that.
Do we have to?
Yeah, we have to cover everything, unfortunately.
Okay.
So we go to Baron Corbin backstage, and Finn Balor appears in the shot, and after being screwed over by Corbin last week and being attacked with a chair and having the win rightfully his but stolen from him, Finn Balor is standing there and he is smiling ear to ear.
Like always.
I don't get it. You just got screwed over last week. Shows a different emotion than happiness.
Yeah.
It's to the point where it actively annoys me when I see Finn Balor's face.
Well, it's to the point where him and Apollo, or Apollo Crews, or A, or whatever you want to call them, just joins the Smiley Club.
Yeah.
Because they smile the most.
Well, with Titus Worldwide possibly going down the toilet,
yes.
that could be the move. We'll get to that later.
Keep Dana Brooke, get rid of Titus.
So, Balor challenges Corbin to a rematch. This would be match number 16 in their series, and Corbin agrees to it, and it is set to be the main event. We'll get to the rest of that later. So Chad Gable was out in an interview next, and Bobby Roode was there.
And what we just talked about, we haven't seen Gable or Roode for a while, really.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Chad and Bobby had an interview, and they were talking about how they're going to have their first tag team match together. And it's like I like the story I think they're telling with Gable and Roode, in that Bobby is the sort of star power, and he knows how to make a presence and all that. And Gable is the great wrestler, but he's not able to get the spotlight on him. So I feel like it's a sort of thing where, like, Gable is trying to be more like Bobby Roode in a sense. And Bobby has got a winning lottery ticket in Chad Gable. He hit the jackpot with having Chad Gable as his partner, and this could be a very successful team, I think.
I thought they did good as a team.
So we get them to the ring, and the Ascension are in the ring already. 2 weeks in a row, the Ascension are on Raw.
Well, they've got like four or five dates they have to be on Raw a year, so they're trying to get them out the way.
I see. So the Ascension cut a promo, and...
Oh, is that what that's supposed to be?
So Connor says that Bobby is a failed single star or whatever, and then he looks at Chad Gable and he says, and you are a sawed-off duck butt.
Explain that, because I can't. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean.
That has to be some sort of rib.
It has to be.
Like, there has to be some sort of joke
because
behind that.
Gable, he got it. He knew.
I don't know if people backstage say that Chad Gable looks like a duck butt.
I don't know.
I don't quite understand it.
A sawed-off duck butt?
Yeah, a sawed-off duck butt nonetheless. My question is, who saws off duck butts?
Apparently WWE creative.
Like, do they use these duck butts for something, or do they
ashtrays?
Do they eat them?
Maybe overseas.
So the match started, and right away, I'm reminded why I love Chad Gable so much. We had Suplex City brought to you by Chad Gable.
And his looked great, too.
I love Chad's Germans.
The way he pops his hips when he puts them over, it looks devastating.
So Chad unexpectedly tagged in Bobby Roode, and Bobby Roode kind of got worked over for the majority of this match, and then it led to the hot tag to Chad Gable, and Jesus, Chad Gable's hot tag, man. He is so good, and I really want to see him continue with this.
Yeah.
So, finish was Gable did the roll-through German that he does, the Chaos Theory, for the pin, which is a good finish. I don't think that's his regular finisher.
No, it didn't look familiar.
But it is a regular signature move of his, and it always looks impressive how he delays it and holds them in the air and just slowly brings them back, especially when he's doing it to a bigger guy, like when he does it to Baron Corbin or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was the match there. Good for Gable and Roode. I look forward to seeing what this team can do.
I think it'll be good. I like them as a team. Let's see where they go.
So Elias is out next.
Yay.
And he is still alive after that slap.
Boo. Oh, sorry.
So one of Elias's first lines here is he says that I strongly dislike women who hit men. Which I thought was such a good line.
Yeah.
So Alexa, Mickie James, Alicia Fox interrupt this promo.
Which, I mean, come on, look at those three. What better way to be interrupted?
Yeah. So, I guess Elias's new thing is that he just gets interrupted by women now, which cool, I guess.
I'm glad my future ex-wife, Alexa Bliss, interrupted him. Okay, it was awesome.
So, Alexa did some sort of flirting thing with Elias. I'm not sure what to say about it.
Yeah, she's two-timing Braun.
So, other than that, Alexa did the thing where she acts like she's a babyface. She was in her hometown of Columbus.
Yep.
She started doing the OHIO whole gimmick. And then turned back heel.
Like she always does.
Yeah, she does it so well. Like, she was just like, well, look at where all of you guys are, and look at me. And they did the flirting thing with Elias, which I didn't really get, because I feel like it's in Alexa's character that when she's doing something like that there's some sort of benefit for her. Like, in the mixed match challenge with Braun Strowman, it felt like it was, I'll keep him on a chain so we can keep winning.
Well, new mixed match challenge might be starting soon.
Yeah, Alexa and Braun are back together, though. It won't be Elias and Alexa.
Yeah.
They announced the teams. So I just didn't feel like she was gaining anything by flirting with Elias other than just flirting. So I don't know.
Ratings.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Ugh.
Although I did like her new merch. It was a little different.
No, I didn't even notice.
Different hairstyle. She did, but she wasn't her normal self.
So Ronda Rousey came out with her BFF Natalya, and
Cat lady.
This would lead to the Natalya and Alexa Bliss match. This didn't go long. There was interference by Alicia and Mickie James in the corner while the ref was distracted. That led to an Alexa Bliss DDT, and when Natty was pretty much out, instead of pinning her, Alexa went for the armbar right in Ronda's face.
Yes, what a slap in the face.
Natty would eventually tap out.
Fairly quickly once she cinched it in.
Yeah, I think what they were going for is that Alexa basically had the match won and Natalya was out. So she didn't... It wasn't like she locked on the armbar and wrenched on it and got her to quit. It was more like it was already over. And she just put on the armbar for
show.
Yeah, for show.
Yeah.
So, I didn't like what came after this. Alicia, Mickie, and Alexa are all there. And Ronda is tending to Natalya, who is down. She's useless. She can't do anything. So you have her 3-on-1.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of all of them going in there and attacking her, Alicia comes in first.
No, Alexa was in first and then backed off.
Okay, so Alexa came in first, got backed off. Then Alicia comes in. And if there is one thing Alicia Fox is good at, it is being completely ragdolled.
Yes. Oh my God.
These judo throws looked incredible.
It hurt me just looking at them.
Like, as soon as she hit the ground, she was lifted right back up and thrown back the other way.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first time we've even seen Alicia Fox do something like this, because I remember in the short little program she did with Nia Jax, and Nia basically like picked her up by her hair outside of the ring and hit her back and forth on the barricade.
Yeah.
Just back and forth like a freaking pinball, and she was just in midair being thrown by her hair. And she did that really well here. It hurts just looking at these judo throws. That was good stuff. Alexa would come in, try to get Ronda off guard. She would be thwarted again, and the heels would leave. Here's what I don't like. You have 3-on-1. You have Alexa, you have Mickey, you have Alicia. All three of you need to get in the ring, surround her, and hurt her. You are going into a championship match. You had a chance to wound the champion and make her a softer target.
Mm-hmm.
And Alexa started to work on the knee a little bit. She did a chop block to Ronda. And then right when I felt like it was about to get vicious and she was about to start really wailing on her, she just gets thrown out. That was
a punch to the stomach, and that was it.
Yeah. So I think it would have helped the match at Hell in a Cell too if you have Ronda injured, and that gives her a reason to be able to sell for Bliss and to be able to have an actual match. Because I was saying last week, I don't want to see Ronda selling for Alexa that much. But if she has an injury going into the show, it gives them a reason to sell for him, and it gives a hope to Alexa Bliss that she can win.
Well, maybe the fact that maybe she's training in MMA a little bit, just for her match against Rousey. Might help.
Okay, I see. Like how.
She learned the arm bar. Maybe she's going to learn a few more moves.
You could do like some vignettes of Alexa training in MMA and have like a coach do interviews or something.
Ken Shamrock training her.
Yeah. I could go for that, especially if she does all that and then still gets squashed again.
And that way, Rousey doesn't have to fake an injury.
Yeah.
It'll just be more of a legit match, and Rousey's better.
All right, I can go with that. So we have Braun, Dolph, and McIntyre again backstage with Baron Corbin. Braun is back to saying that he wants competition
again.
We're back to that gimmick.
So are we going to bring back Mick Foley?
Or Ellsworth?
Oh wait, nope, that's next week.
Oh yeah, Mick Foley is on this show next week.
Yeah.
So Ziggler and Drew, they have this sort of like, so Corbin, we want a tag team championship match tonight, and Corbin's just like, well, I'd love to, but we already have a tag team match scheduled with the Revival and the B team, and then the Drew and Dolph are just like, well, I think they're injured. And Baron's like, no, last I heard they were fine and ready to go. And they're just like, well, if something were to happen to them, I guess you'd have to make some sort of change, right?
Mm-hmm. And that right there gave it away what was going to happen.
Yes.
In the next 3 minutes.
It wasn't even 3 minutes.
No.
The next segment after this was the Revival being interviewed by Dasha, I think, or whoever.
Was it Charlie?
Charlie, Kathy, Dasha, they're all the same. Anyway, Revival are getting interviewed, And I guess this interview must have been happening right outside of Baron Corbin's office, because somehow Dolph and Drew were already there.
Yeah, they just, boom, right there instantly.
So, I don't know. It's kind of a weird spot where you're taking out the heels. The heels are taking out the heels.
Yeah.
There's no sympathy to be gained for the Revival, so...
But, I mean, what's this going to do for the Revival? Because they had a title shot.
I guess they can get a title shot against Drew and Dolph.
Or is this going to be a triple threat tag team for the titles at Hell in a Cell?
You could do that, too.
Because we know the B team's not going to get back. Not right away.
No, I don't think they'll ever get them back. I don't think. But
It ruined the whole division.
it did. And to no fault of Curtis and Bo, they're both very good.
Oh, yeah, they're just doing what they're told.
And I like both of them. But the gimmick they were given did not help anyone.
I'd rather believe in Bo than watch that B team crap.
Yeah, I agree. Or the three-man bands with Curtis Axel. That would be fine. But went straight into the tag title match, and everyone's acting like they still expect the Revival to come out.
Yeah.
They play their music, and commentary is surprised that they're not coming out.
But yet the audience is sitting there knowing that they're not because they just saw what happened on the Titantron.
Yes. So, Drew and Dolph's music hits. They are inserted into this match. And it was fairly short. It went through a commercial, and then we came back, and it was pretty much right into the finish a few minutes later.
I didn't like that. As a title match, it should go longer. It should go at least 2 commercials.
Yeah.
As a title match.
Yeah, you could have done something more, but I think they just wanted to get the B team over with.
And that could be. I mean, they had their 15 minutes. They got a new song. They got some cheap merch. Maybe that's all they need.
So, Drew and Dolph win the match. They are the new tag team champions. What do you think of this, Chris? What do you think of Drew and Dolph as the tag champs right now?
Right now, I think it's better than what we had. I like Drew's attitude.
I agree.
He reminds me of a young Randy Orton when he first came in. You know, no wasted movement. Every move is calculated.
Right.
I mean, his attitude just reminds me of Orton with long hair.
Yeah, Drew's demeanor is definitely very good right now. I don't mind this act as tag champions right now. I feel like if you did have the Revival beat the B team and that be it, that the Revival wouldn't be able to really be taken seriously after they've already been clowned on by the B team before.
And that's true. I didn't think about it that way.
So I think it's good that you get someone new into this, and Drew and Dolph is a good example of this. I think maybe down the line with Drew and Dolph as heels, maybe you could do Bobby Roode and Chad Gable against them down the line for the tag titles.
Yeah, give them a few more matches under their belt.
Yeah. So, not bad. I did not hate this.
No, I just wish the match was longer. That was it.
So, this show was very built around the tag team division, actually, because then we got the Authors of Pain, who are with Drake Maverick.
Yes.
And Drake Maverick is wearing matching gear of
And-
the Authors of Pain.
And I don't watch NXT, so I didn't know who he was at first.
Well, he's the 205 Live general manager.
Well, I know now. But as I was watching...
No, but he wasn't on NXT, is what I'm saying.
Oh, that's what I meant, 205 Live.
Okay.
I know what I meant. But-
So,
So I didn't know who he was. I thought, to me it looked like almost an Ellsworth type person.
he's very small, but his original name was Rockstar Spud,
Oh
and
my god.
not in WWE. He was with
Oh.
Impact. He was pretty popular there as like a dirtbag heel sort of thing. So I did not like that Drake was wearing matching gear with Authors of Pain because it just looks silly.
It looked like 3 sizes too big.
Like, Drake Maverick's whole thing on 205 Live is that he just wears fancy suits, like extravagant, colorful suits.
and then he comes wearing fatigues and a vest.
Yeah, I felt like you could have just kept him in a suit.
But wouldn't that be too much like Paul Ellering was?
Yeah, so that's the other thing, is that at some point down the line, during this Authors of Pain run, somebody decided, well, goddamn, they need a manager.
Again.
They already had a manager. You threw him away. Paul Ellering was fine.
And one of the greatest managers ever.
Yeah. I don't get why they dumped Paul Ellering to bring in Drake Maverick, but Drake is cool. I like Drake. I think he's a very good talker. But he's also a babyface on 205 Live, and now he's kind of with a heel team. So
how is that going to play out come 205 again?
I don't know. Maybe you'll just have two different characters.
But leave it to McMahon. That's all I can say.
It'll be fun, though. It'll hopefully give the Authors of Pain a new, fresh coat and be able to sort of start over.
They don't need to start over. They just need some real competition. Quit giving them these little locals to fight.
Well, it's better than them fighting Titus Worldwide again.
Well, that's true. But there's other tag teams on Raw that they could go against.
Yeah, I mean, you could have done Heath Slater and Rhino. They don't have anything to do. Alright, so next we got the same pretty much video package of Undertaker and Triple H.
It was the exact same.
They just cut out certain pieces and put it together differently. And after that, we had Ronda, Rousey, and Natalya backstage. Natalya is very upset about her loss, and she eventually just leaves. And the Bellas are back again.
Yeah, they gotta steal that spotlight.
Yes, you see, Ronda is one of the hottest acts in wrestling right now, so the Bellas are just sort of like leeching onto them. Her hoping to soak up as much of her popularity as
trying to
they
stay
possibly
relevant.
can. So, Bellas tell Ronda that if you need any advice on running a business or starting a TV show or having sex with a superstar to stay relevant, let us know. We'll help you out. And I really did not like this. This was so patronizing and just everybody's friends.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Why is every women's storyline built around friendship?
Yeah, I don't know.
Everyone. Becky and Charlotte.
Yeah.
Ronda and Natalya. Yeah. Ronda and the Bellas. Everybody's just friends.
Speaking of Bellas, though, Nikki stated that Rousey coming to WWE was the reason the Bellas came back.
Right.
I call bull. I think it was the money and the contract that says they had to.
Well, obviously.
But why now? I mean, why come in and ruin Rousey's moment? Why not wait till Royal Rumble and make an entrance?
Yeah, I don't know. And I just dread seeing Nikki versus Ronda. I just don't want to see it. There are so many other things we could do.
Yeah, I mean, well, Nikki doesn't even deserve it.
No, she hasn't done anything.
No, I mean, what has she done? She came back for one match.
Yep. No,
and it wasn't even that good of a match.
No, not much to say about this.
No.
So hopefully this somehow will surprise me, and I'll end up liking it. But I don't feel like that'll ever happen.
There you go. Go in with low standards. You might get surprised.
Yeah, that's how I live my life.
Amen.
So we had Shawn Michaels,
HBK in the house,
who was advertised for this show. He came out. He predicted that Triple H would win after he plugged his T-shirt and the WWE Network.
And what's with that T-shirt? Is he that broke he had to get a new shirt after 10 years?
I guess so. He can't work anymore, so he's got to make money somehow.
See, that's the thing. He can work. He has worked.
Well, we'll get to
just not wrestling.
We'll get to the possible one more match here in a second. But so Shawn said that you can buy the WWE Network and then you can purchase Hell in a Cell.
Yes, I caught that.
I don't think he understands how the network works.
Well, he's a little up there in the age. Technology ain't his friend.
I don't think he knows that you just buy the network and then you get Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
So that cell job was not very good.
But that's okay. It's HBK. I love HBK.
It's Shawn Michaels. So, we got The Undertaker.
Now, wait a minute. Before The Undertaker came out, Michaels stated that he was going to be in Melbourne for the Super Showdown.
Did he?
Yes.
I did not even catch that.
Now, what I'm thinking is, we saw 10 years ago, Taker, Triple H, Michaels. Are they going to do the same thing? Michaels as a special guest referee?
They very well may.
I mean, why was he going to fly all the way there just to watch a match that he already refereed 10 years ago?
Yeah. So, Undertaker comes down, and this was such a good promo by both of these guys.
Yes, very much.
Undertaker says that he talks about how Michaels said that he's been friends with Triple H for 20 years, and in those 20 years, I've put both of you down.
Yep.
So, this led to Shawn having his great part of this promo where he talks about why he hasn't come back.
And I've always wondered why.
And he says, I do it out of respect for the business, I do it out of respect for the fans, and most importantly, I do it out of respect for The Undertaker. And he goes into detail on how he's turned down millions and millions of dollars.
I believe it.
And so many wrestlers knocking down his door, trying to get that one more match. Every time he comes back, the crowd started chanting one more match.
Every time.
Every time he talked about that.
I cheer at home watching it.
So Shawn goes to leave here, and then Undertaker has another great line here where he says, is it out of respect or is it out of fear? And
it kind of opens the door for a possibility for something to happen.
Taker says he knows that if Shawn comes back, he would have to face him.
Yeah.
And Taker says, I will put you down again, just like I did before.
Yeah. And all this makes me think that it's going to lead to HBK being involved in the Triple H Taker match somehow.
Yeah. I'm not sure that they'll do the special guest referee thing again.
Maybe just a manager or valet type. But I can't see Michaels doing that.
Or he could just run some sort of interference in the match.
That could be.
We'll see. The other interesting point is that if Michaels does come back, are we going to see another Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker match?
But wouldn't that be one great match at WrestleMania to end the career for The Undertaker? Win or lose?
So, the thing with that is that I wouldn't... The 12-year-old kid in me loves that because that's one of my favorite rivalries of all time.
Yes.
With The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and those two classic matches they put on back-to-back at 25 and 26. But if Shawn Michaels were to come back for one match, I wouldn't want it to be against The Undertaker.
No.
I'd rather see someone that you can build more after that, where The Undertaker, obviously, it would be an epic sort of thing, but you got to start building new stars. And that's the thing that I thought about during this segment is that, I thought about how awesome it was and how the crowd were receiving both of these guys. They were legends. And, it's a shame that there's not many people on the active roster that have this same sort of aura about them. And I feel like that's what we have to start building towards, is getting the guys we have, the guys that we're building the future around, to be in the same league as Undertaker and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. Because right now we just have a bunch of people from NXT that got called up. And, there's nothing fancy, nothing special about them.
Yeah.
Nothing like the electricity of The Undertaker coming out when the lights go down.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, is that everyone, and I use this loosely because obviously there's exceptions, and But everyone feels like just another guy sometimes.
Yeah.
They're just a cog in the machine, as CM Punk once said. A spoke on the wheel.
And it's true for the most part.
So, after that, we got Baron Corbin backstage again, confronting Finn Balor, and he had some sort of excuse for not being able to wrestle tonight. I guess he was too busy.
Paperwork with the Shield getting arrested.
Hey, that's right, paperwork with the Shield getting arrested. And he backs out of the match, and he instead announces that it will be Finn Balor against Braun Strowman in the main event.
Which doesn't make sense. Didn't they just team up like a few months ago? Not even?
Yeah, but that was face Braun Strowman.
Oh, okay. My bad. Wrong one.
See, this is why turning Braun heel was not the best. But anyway.
Although, I do like Braun and Balor.
Yeah.
As in a match together.
And they did have a pretty good match, all things considered, later on.
I mean, we know, obviously you can tell by the size difference if it was a real match who was going to win. But I love Balor. He's not afraid of anybody.
Yeah.
And man, was he giving Braun everything he could.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in the main event of Raw here. But after that, we had a tweet shown on screen from Mike Rome.
And I love those Twitter updates. I thought that was kind of cool.
It was also very goofy.
It was, but
because
it's better than just wondering the whole show what's going on.
In this tweet, Mike Rome reported, quote unquote, that the Shield have appeared in front of a judge and have been charged with inciting a riot, criminal damage, and disorderly conduct.
So what was damaged?
And
what riot?
Braun's feelings? Like, I don't know.
And what riot? If you want to get technical, Corbin started the riot by sending locker room out there.
Yeah, this was odd, to say the least.
Just something to give people.
But, again, it's pro wrestling. I'm not going to get into the logic behind everything.
You can't.
There's no points.
No.
It won't be fun that way. So, Sasha and Bayley out next against the makeshift tag team of Dana Brooke and Ember Moon.
The Boston Hug Connection.
Yes.
I want to know who decided to rip off the Rock and Sock Connection. Because neither one of them are related to Mick Foley or The Rock.
Well, I thought The Rock was related to everyone.
Well, maybe through marriage.
So, this was mostly built around Dana Brooke and Titus Worldwide.
The fact that Dana Brooke can't beat anybody one-on-one.
So, Apollo and Titus are yelling advice to Dana throughout this match. Yes. And at some point, Dana just yells back that, I got this. And then immediately after that, she gets rolled up by Sasha and loses. And after that, Dana gets out of the ring, talks to Titus and Apollo, and says, I'm done with both of you.
Now, did she just walk away from her, or did she quit worldwide? That's what they didn't go into.
Well, I would assume by her saying, I'm done with both of you, is that she's leaving. That she's done with Titus Worldwide.
But you know how women get. I'm done with both of you. And then, the next day, they're all good.
That could be a reasonable explanation.
Maybe she's just done with them for that night.
Okay.
It could go either way.
So, if she is, in fact, done with them, I'm not sure what you do with Dana after this, if you're building to a singles push for Dana Brooke.
I don't see Dana Brooke able to hang with the caliber of talent such as a Sasha Banks or a Charlotte Flair.
No.
She needs mid-carders like Alicia Fox or Mickie James.
Yeah, I think you have to build her up more first.
And you may not be able to build her up too far.
No, I think she does definitely have a ceiling on what she can do as far as a wrestler.
Yes.
As a personality, I think Dana Brooke has all of the potential in the world to be very
I
good.
love her as a valet and a statistician.
Yeah. So, somehow in this match, Dana Brooke managed to botch tagging in. Ember was crouched below her, and Dana tried to tag her back and missed, and then got in the ring anyway, and the ref stopped it.
But did they miss? Because I thought I saw it happen.
She almost got her,
Okay,
but she
so
missed
it was
her.
close, but she missed.
And I feel like most of the time that they would just go on, but this ref, you know, they tell you to call
Is that
it.
John Cone?
I couldn't remember, but they always say they tell the refs to call it like a shoot, and she did not get the tag, so he forced him back out. Ember Moon rolled back in.
It was a simple roll-in tag, roll back out.
So I want to talk about Ember Moon because she has been on the main roster since April, May, 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, she was with the shakeup after Mania.
Yeah, so April. So, Ember Moon has not had a storyline at all.
No, I mean, you see her once in a while in a tag match.
They haven't... They've protected her in that I think she's only lost like twice, maybe. But she does not have a storyline. She doesn't have anything to really care about. She's just there having good matches most of the time, but there's no character work on Ember Moon, who I think has so much potential, and it's a shame that it's not being utilized, but we're giving all of the time to the Bellas instead of developing the characters that we already have, like Ember Moon.
And I love it because I have a storyline for Ember Moon. And it worked perfect.
What's that?
Especially with Evolution coming up next month. Ember Moon versus Asuka, Hell in a Cell. The winner faces Rousey at Evolution. Because we haven't seen Asuka for several weeks.
So that would be a cross-brand match.
Yes, it would. But it's a cross-brand pay-per-view.
Yeah, but I don't think...
It's just a dream match, you know.
Yeah, it'd be a fun match. Ember Moon and Asuka have had plenty of good matches on NXT.
Have they? I knew they've gone against each other because they were in NXT.
In fact, it was Ember Moon was the one who threatened Asuka the most in her undefeated streak because it was like the turning point for Asuka that she decided that she couldn't beat Ember, so she had to cheat to beat her.
Oh.
So that was sort of the story they told, is that Ember was the first one that had the chance to beat Asuka.
Now, did Ember beat Asuka to get the title?
No.
Or
They did the rematch after that, and Asuka won, and then she got injured, and then she went up to the main roster.
Okay, so they just vacated the title.
Yeah, and then Ember Moon won the vacated title. So she lost to the champion, but then got the championship anyway, which was unfortunate.
Yeah.
But,
Ember Moon, I love her entrance.
Yeah, she carries such a good presence. I really wish we'd do more with her.
Yes, very much.
All right. We're about to get into rant mode here.
Oh, God, yes. Let's do this.
So, we had Bobby Lashley backstage, who was outside of Baron Corbin's office, holding a piece of paper, and he tells whatever interview robot he was talking to that Baron Corbin just gave him a performance review. And in his performance review, it says that Bobby has been angry or whatever since coming back, and that Corbin has issued him to have a meditation session with Jinder Mahal in the ring tonight.
Can we see where this is going? Really? I mean, what's the point? Why don't you just say, hey, go fight it out in the ring?
Now, Bobby Lashley in this segment debuted his new catchphrase. My man.
Yeah.
My man Baron Corbin giving out performance reviews. My man.
Member number 3 of the Smiles Club.
Oh, my Lord.
I mean, I don't think he stopped smiling that whole segment.
My man.
Yeah, especially every time he said, my man.
Yeah, he's
just all Titus O'Neil smiles.
I want to know whose idea that was.
I don't know.
All right.
We need to go work for creative.
So, we get to that segment. They have Jinder's carpet gimmick in the ring. And Jinder is trying to help Bobby Lashley find inner peace.
Yeah.
And so, the crowd died here.
Oh, very much.
So, Jinder tells Bobby as they're sitting next to each other on this carpet cross-legged, "Repeat after me." And then Bobby says, "Repeat after me."
Yes.
And then Jinder's like, "No, not that. Oh, no, not that." Oh, classic comedy here. I'm sure 5-year-olds everywhere found this hilarious.
I thought it was funny. I'm not 5, so fight me.
It's such a basic joke.
I know, and that's what makes it so funny. Because we're older and it's so basic.
Oh, my Lord.
It's a family-friendly show, okay?
Time and place. So, during this meditation session, it was something weird that happened. A fan came out and attacked Bobby Lashley. This fan just started wailing on Lashley, hit him with super kicks, and then he did a powerbomb onto the apron to Lashley, and somehow no one stopped this.
I know. I mean, nobody did. Security's just letting it happen.
So, eventually I realized that this fan is actually Kevin Owens.
Who quit, so it's still just a fan.
So, he quit last week, and we've all been there, where you quit your job, and then a week later you realize, oh, well, I got bills.
I do it almost every day.
And then you come back. So I guess that's what happened with Kevin Owens, is that he realized that he still has bills. But why? Why did we bring Kevin Owens back?
Why didn't they not listen to our podcast?
1 week after quitting.
And that's why they should have listened to our podcast so they can get ideas on when to bring him back. Because that was stupid.
This was a spit in the face to fans by bringing Kevin Owens back this early.
Yes.
And it was also a spit in the face to Kevin Owens because
His word means nothing.
He is slowly now turning into a joke. He is slowly turning into someone that you can't invest in at all because of character inconsistencies. He is slowly turning into Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And not so much now because Ziggler isn't bad at this point, but anywhere from 2013 to 2017, when they did every start-stop push with Dolph Ziggler, and it got to the point in like 2016 to 2017 that anytime he came out, I just groaned because there was no possible way to care about anything he does.
Well, didn't he quit back in 2017 last year?
That's something similar that happened to this storyline, is that Dolph Ziggler was the United States champion. He put the title on the ground and said, "I'm done."
Yes. And
then he came back at the Royal Rumble, entered at number 30, and got thrown out in less than 5 minutes.
But at least he didn't come back the next week.
No, he came back.
It was a couple months.
He came back 2 months later, I think.
Yeah.
But
that's better than a week.
It's better than a week, but when the motive for him to come back is to get thrown out in the Royal Rumble in 5 minutes, it made no sense.
Yeah, that part didn't make sense.
So, this didn't make sense either. Why did Kevin Owens quit in the first place? What is the point?
No, what doesn't make sense is why did he attack Bobby Lashley?
That's another thing. Why Bobby? What did Bobby do to you?
Exactly.
Like, my man Bobby Lashley.
Yeah. He's sitting there with my man Jinder Mahal.
Yeah. And my man Sunil. And they're just trying to have themselves a meditation. And then Kevin Owens comes in after he quit, and he decides that Bobby deserves this. So, this was unfortunate, to say the least. I'm not going to continue ranting about this all day.
No, but we could.
Kevin Owens is getting to a point of no return where ever since he has come over to Raw, he has been a joke.
Ever since he lost Sami Zayn, he hasn't done nothing.
Yeah. Really, ever since he came to Raw.
And that's when he lost Sami Zayn.
Yeah, shortly thereafter. So.
He hasn't done nothing.
Unfortunate.
Find him a new buddy.
Well, he has Jinder.
Well, apparently his meditation ain't doing too good for Kevin.
So, we got to the main event here. It was Braun Strowman against Finn Balor in what was a pretty good match. Finn sort of had like a counter to everything that Braun normally does. Like when he tried to do the Kevin Owens special where he runs around the ring and does the shoulder block, but Finn turned it into a sling blade.
Yeah, I saw that.
So Finn did pretty good in this match. Braun eventually put him away with one power slam. And as Drew and Dolph were beating down on Finn, we heard Scott Steiner's entrance, which was police sirens.
Yes, if you didn't know.
So the Shield have stolen the same vehicle that they were arrested in.
Yeah, so now they're going to get arrested for Grand Theft Auto?
So I think earlier, before this, they actually announced that the Shield were released, that they appeared in front of a judge and were given bail or something.
Yeah, they're waiting on bail.
So I wish that, like, if we're going to be goofy, I wish we could have just went the whole way and, like, have Mike Rome reports that the Shield have broken out of prison and they stole a cop car.
There you go.
I think that would have been so much cooler.
Or I would see them out there in front of the police station live, you know, send a camera with them, bring it live, you know, like a real newscast, and have the Shield just running out the door towards them.
Yeah, that would be fun. So Roman Reigns is driving this police van with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose in the back. They come out, they go to the ring, and once again, the entire heel locker room effectively comes out.
Yeah.
And beats the hell out of the Shield for some reason.
Well, they whooped up on the Shield, but think about it. I bet every one of them got whooped up by the Shield at one point.
Yeah. So, and now we're going to get into another rant, because who is the first person down the ramp to hit the Shield?
Oh, to hit the Shield? I don't remember.
Kevin Owens.
Was it KO?
Kevin Owens is now helping Braun Strowman. He is helping the man that put him through the pain and agony and everything since he came over to Raw, and what made him quit in the first place.
Okay, so if you had to be there, would you not want to fight for him instead of against him?
I don't get it. But we'll move on from that. The whole heel locker room beat down on the Shield, and Seth got thrown to the police van, and they didn't pick this up on camera as well, but Seth's arm was gashed.
From that window that shattered?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I knew somebody would be bleeding.
This wasn't a smart idea to throw Seth Rollins into a window. And the fact that they weren't picking up on it on camera, and it was more so pictures that came up online of his arm just completely covered in blood, tells me that it wasn't what they were planning on doing.
No, there wasn't supposed to be blood.
No. So, hopefully Seth is okay, but that could be a legit injury. That
could be, maybe a couple stitches, might require a week off.
If you remember, there was actually a segment a long time ago where Goldberg broke the window of a car, and he broke it, and he broke his hand or his arm, and his arm was bleeding, and he was actually out for several weeks or months because of that. Yeah,
wasn't that in WCW?
Yeah, I believe so.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, because they did not plan that through at all. They didn't gimmick the window.
Yeah.
So Goldberg just had to completely smash it.
Yeah, and it broke his hand.
So, hopefully Seth is okay. Other than that, the Shield got beat up on. Braun hit a power slam on Reigns on the floor. Yeah, a few times. And that was Raw.
Now, you did fail to mention one thing with Finn and Braun.
What's that?
The triangle that Finn was able to put on Braun.
Finn was working sleepers and submissions on Braun, which was a good touch, and he he eventually somehow got Braun in a triangle choke, which was nice.
It was just nice to see a big guy in that kind of a move.
Yeah, I liked Finn a lot in that match. So you have the heels standing tall. I guess the babyface locker room did not really care about the Shield.
No, they've been attacked by the Shield too. But they're faces, so they can't go out and attack them.
Yeah. But that is Raw. Not a great show, I would say. Not necessarily a terrible show, but the bads were very bad. And the goods were mostly just okay.
Well, the only two really goods I'm thinking of are Taker and Michaels.
Yeah. So, not a bad show. I'll give this a C.
I give it a C+.
Alright.
I could do that. Maybe I'll give the plus just for Taker and Michaels.
On to the SmackDown review now. As I mentioned, I'll be flying solo for this one, as Chris, of course, did not watch SmackDown at the time of our recording, because he's unprofessional, as we said earlier. But, no, really, me and Chris both work full-time jobs, and it's hard to set up a time that works for both of us a lot of the time. And Wednesday morning was really the only time we had that we could be able to record it, and Chris hadn't watched SmackDown yet, so we just got the Raw review in. But, on to SmackDown. Show kicks off with Renee Young, and in the ring for an interview, when we start the show with the worst music in WWE today, Brie Mode. Thankfully, Daniel Bryan's music eventually cut this off. We had a Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella interview in the ring with Renee Young. Renee Young kicked to a video from earlier in the day on WWE.com where The Miz and Maurice were in an empty arena calling out Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella, knowing that they would not be there. And when we go back to the live feed, Daniel Bryan says that that's exactly... that's a great personification of what The Miz is, a coward, calling out Bryan when he knows he's not there. And this would eventually lead to Andrade, Cien, Almas, and Zelina Vega coming down to the ring. Vega cut a promo saying that this week Andrade is going to finish what he started with Bryan. Andrade cut a promo afterwards. I have no idea what he said. It seems like they kind of have this whole roles sort of confused here, because I think the whole point of Andrade having Zelina Vega is so that he does not have to cut a promo. And then the whole point of Zelina Vega being with Andrade is that she's a personality and not a wrestler, but yet since they've come up, she's been wrestling. So that's kind of odd to me, but nonetheless, we got another Andrade, Cien, Almas, and Daniel Bryan match, which I cannot complain about because, again, these two had another very good match in the situation they're in. It had a few nice spots, like Daniel Bryan doing a dive off the apron and Andrade catching him in midair with a drop kick. You had the finish eventually where Bryan would get the pin off the running knee, and Brie would also get her revenge on Zelina Vega, hitting her with a big knee as well. This was a pretty good match. Andrade and Bryan, I think, have a lot of good chemistry together right off the bat. I still feel like that if you give them a proper pay-per-view match, that could be a fantastic match of the year candidate. Andrade was really good in this match. We saw a lot of the go-to moves with him, like what we saw, I can recall, in his NXT matches against Johnny Gargano, where he does the moonsault off the top rope, lands on his feet after Bryan rolls away, and then hits the moonsault from a standing position. Always like that move. Good match. Afterwards, Maurice and The Miz appeared on the Titantron. They were live from an Italian restaurant in Detroit. And that would lead to, after we come back from the commercial, where Daniel Bryan and Brie are leaving the arena and get caught up in an interview, and they say that, they're a little hungry and they're going to go have some Italian. And I immediately thought, really, as soon as The Miz said that he was in an Italian restaurant, I immediately thought that this was going to lead to a scene where Daniel Bryan and Brie invade the restaurant and we have some sort of ridiculous food fight there. But we did not get that. We'll get to that later. Bryan did have one funny part in this where he said, where as he's leaving and just his ring gear, and he just says, "I hope they don't have a dress code." So we get a split-screen interview between Charlotte and Becky Lynch. They are in separate locations, but both on the Titantron, being interviewed by Tom Phillips. This reminded me of the interview they did with Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar last year, going into the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. And I liked this for the same reason I liked that pro last year, is that they both came off as very genuine. They were interrupting each other and not waiting for each other to finish their lines or anything like that. So that was good. Becky was really good in this, I thought. Her acting is always spectacular. There was, throughout this promo, Becky would just say over Charlotte that she's delusional, and at one point Charlotte said, all you had to do was ask for a title match after I won the title, and I would have gladly given it to you. And Becky was pretty much just like, screw you, which was awesome. I thought both of them did a pretty good job in this promo. And like we discussed last week, it seems more like they're heading in the direction of that neither of them are a heel or a face. They are both neutral sort of characters, and you can get both sides of the story. I feel like that's the best way to go towards this, and I thought they presented it very well in this promo. Becky was getting great reactions again. It's funny how you can accidentally get someone more over as a face by turning them heel, and that's great that Becky is getting the sort of reactions that she's getting now, and I look forward to seeing what these two will do in Hell in a Cell with this story to play off of in that match. So, up next we got Naomi versus Peyton Royce. Again, last week she faced Billie Kay. The week before that she faced Peyton Royce. She lost to both of them. This week she got her win with a roll-up on Peyton Royce in about a 2-minute match, as all of these matches in this series have been. They've kind of built up this whole 2-on-1 scenario, which definitely always felt like it was leading towards someone coming to the aid of Naomi. So after she won this match by a roll-up, we got a run-in from Asuka. Yes, Asuka. It's just so unfortunate to see what's the decimation of Asuka on the main roster now, and she was doing fine for the first part of that run where they kept her protected. They protected her streak, but ever since WrestleMania, she has not done anything. There has been no follow-up to the streak ending. It was very pointless, and it's a shame that something of that magnitude goes to waste when it could have meant something much more when she finally did lose the streak. But instead, now she is just another woman on the roster, and that utterly breaks my heart to see that. So, we'll move on from that. Looks like we set up a possible match with Naomi and Asuka against the Iconic Duo, which whatever. We got a video package of the Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton Hell in a Cell match. This was the first of two of those. The first one was from Jeff Hardy's perspective, and this video package showed Jeff Hardy jumping off some high stuff, like he is one to do. And he talked about how this is his first Hell in a Cell match. We talked about that last week on this show, and one of the things that me and Chris were talking about is whether or not we're going to see Jeff Hardy do some sort of crazy move off the top of the cell, which I was very adamant that I did not want to see that, because I don't want Jeff to die, personally. That's just me. I mean, if you want Jeff to die, then, you know, he can jump off the cell 10 times, I guess, but I feel like this should be more of a physical sort of drag-out brawl sort of match than it should be a spectacle that you would see Hardy jump off something. It's funny, actually, one of Jeff Hardy's more notable jumping off of something really high things happened against Randy Orton in the late 2000s, I can recall, where he jumped off the scaffold on Raw, I remember, onto Randy Orton doing a Swanton Bomb. So, there's a history there of Jeff Hardy jumping off of something really high onto Randy Orton. So, we'll see if that continues at Hell in a Cell. Go backstage, we have Paige, who is interrupted by Miz and Maurice, who are back from their dinner at that Italian restaurant. They blamed that Detroit has terrible food, I guess, so that's cool. But they come back knowing that Bryan and Brie aren't going to be there again, so they come there and they try to call out Bryan and Brie, and knowing that they're not there, showing the underlying sort of cowardice of the two of Miz and Maurice. But Paige said that Miz is going to have an open challenge match tonight, and that would later be answered by R-Truth. And that was set up when R-Truth is walking backstage and yells at Maurice, thinking that she's Carmella, and trying to get his match with Carmella, still thinking that Maurice is now Carmella, where Miz would eventually roll into the scene, and Miz asks R-Truth when the last time they teamed together was, and God, did I forget about this, that R-Truth and The Miz were a tag team. They were The Rock's first match back, in fact, when he teamed with John Cena in that Survivor Series, I want to say. And I can definitely recall that coming out of that, there was the story that WWE was blaming Miz and R-Truth for the low buy rates for that pay-per-view. Because, I mean, it's The Rock's first match back. It can't be his fault. But nonetheless, Miz asks R-Truth when the last time they teamed together was. R-Truth says 7 years ago. Miz says that was the last time he was relevant. And R-Truth replied to this by saying that I don't know what Carmella sees in you. And he walked off. Samoa Joe would come out to the ring next, cut another scathing sort of promo on AJ Styles and his family. And we talked last week about how Samoa Joe basically threatened to buy the house of AJ Styles. So it was thought to be that AJ Styles was not here, that he was at home, but he would interrupt Samoa Joe's promo on the Titantron and just simply say, It's alright to threaten another man, but threaten his family, and that's where the talking stops. And then we got the reveal that AJ Styles was in fact not at home with his family, and that he was here on this SmackDown as he made his entrance, and went straight after Joe. They have a big brawl, and referees come out, Paige comes out, they separate them. It's funny how in this case, 3 referees are enough to keep AJ Styles back from Samoa Joe, but the night previous on Raw, 30 active superstars couldn't keep the Shield away from Braun Strowman, Dolph, and McIntyre, but, that's neither here nor there. So we get another R-Truth segment. R-Truth was awesome in this show, and he's looking for Carmella still. And so Ty Dillinger comes in, and he just points over to Carmella, who just happens to be standing right there, and just like, oh, look, she's right there. And then R-Truth is just like, oh, thanks. Walks up to Carmella and says, have you seen Carmella? Yes, R-Truth is a national treasure. So R-Truth tells Carmella about what Carmella 2, as he put it, said about her. And at that point, Carmella 1 decided that she will accompany R-Truth to the ring and be there to be in his corner against The Miz. And then you get what I thought was the funniest thing about this whole thing, when R-Truth is talking to Ty Dillinger, and he says, Ty, I'm going to teach you a lesson right here. So Ty says, what lesson could you possibly teach me? And R-Truth just looks at him and laughs and says, how to get in the main event of SmackDown. And that was just poetic. So we get a second package of the Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy Hell in a Cell match. This time it was from Orton's perspective, and it just highlighted how vicious Randy Orton can be, and how Jeff Hardy's never been in that cell with Orton, and he doesn't know how sadistic he can be. This was all good stuff. Really got me into this match a lot more. And after that, we have the triple threat match for the right to face the Bar, where the winner of that match will face the New Day at Hell in a Cell for the tag team titles. We had Rusev Day going up against Sanity and the Usos. So I thought they told Rusev and Aiden English told a really good story here about English wasn't in the match an entire. I'm not sure how much he was in this match at all, but it wasn't much. But basically what he did was he just continued to save Rusev as much as he possibly could, which I thought played into the dissension that they had, where English was trying to help him, but ended up messing up and not helping him. So I thought this was good, how English continued to help Rusev and keep him alive in this match at every chance he had. And that would lead to the finish, where Eric Young tries to get a roll-up on Rusev, and he puts his foot on the ropes, but English from the outside pushes his feet off of the ropes, so then Rusev kicks out, and Rusev would get the win over Eric Young. And Rusev Day versus the Bar next week. That should be an interesting match. I'm fairly certain the Bar will win, but I really hope that Rusev Day wins to continue this storyline they have going. And a match with the New Day is something we haven't seen. I think it'd be fun and fresh, and Rusev is great in everything, so I see no reason why he would not be great here. So R-Truth and The Miz in the main event of SmackDown. Who would have thought that we would see R-Truth in a main event on television in 2018? R-Truth was great in this match, too. I mean, God, it seems like R-Truth just hasn't aged a day since he debuted in WWE almost, but he was very good in this match. You had Carmella accompanying to the ring, helping him with the What's Up rap. Cool. I guess Carmella is like a pseudo babyface now. I'm not sure if that's going to be a full face turn, or if it's just like when she's with R-Truth, she's a face, or where they're going with that. But the heel Carmella champion is over, and that's a good thing. So whatever they want to do with her now, if they want to have her baby face it up with R-Truth, then I'll be quite alright with that. I don't think that's the perfect role for her. I still think there is a spot for her as the stuck-up heel sort of personality that she had, but not as the champion. So we'll see where it goes from there. So R-Truth actually picks up a win here over The Miz off of distraction by the returning Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella. R-Truth would get a roll-up, and that would put away The Miz. So Daniel Bryan storms down to the ring, unloading punches on The Miz, Brie doing the same to Maurice, until Zelina Vega would come down and yank Brie Bella out of the ring, and Andrade Cien Almas as well, as that would help Miz and Maurice make their escape. Brie and Bryan would be able to recover, though, and fend off Andrade and Vega, and they would put them in stereo yes locks, staring down Miz and Maurice, who are looking from the stage, and that would end this show. Not a very noteworthy show, I don't think, but nonetheless, it was a very good show, I thought. There was some good build with the tag match and what we have next week with the Bar versus Rusev Day. The storyline throughout the show of Miz and Daniel Bryan I thought was very good. I am critical, though, on the involvement of Maurice and Brie Bella in this situation, because I don't think it's necessarily needed, but that's where they're going, and it wasn't a bad build. I'm sure it won't be bad per se, but I would have much preferred this just stayed between Daniel Bryan and The Miz. R-Truth, of course, was phenomenal in this show with his comedy, and then even when he got in the ring, he had a very good match with The Miz, I thought. Well, very good might be a stretch. It was a good main event match. And, yeah, that's about it. SmackDown, I'd give it a B. I thought this was a good show. Better than Raw this week. I thought SmackDown was the better show. Nothing near as infuriating as on Raw. And, yeah. So that's going to do it for this week on the Enhancement Talent Podcast. We appreciate you listening. I apologize if the SmackDown review was a little on the shorter end. Obviously, with me doing it myself, didn't have as much back and forth sort of discussion to go through, but I did want to recap the show at least and give a few thoughts. So, we will see you all next week on the Enhancement Talent Podcast. We are on YouTube, Blog Talk Radio, Podbean, and I'm still working on getting us on iTunes. I said last week that we were, but have some work to do on that, on getting the requirements fixed. But as soon as that is ready, I will have the links for all of those in the description on wherever you may be listening to this podcast. We have our email, mrblitz@gmail.com, with 2 I's and 2 Z's. It's MRBLIITZZ. On Twitter at Mr. Blitz with 2 I's and 2 Z's, MRBLIITZ. If you have any sort of feedback for the show or anything that you might want us to talk about or anything that pertains to this show, you can contact either of those. And that'll do it. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.